There are individuals today who are creating ASMR videos just for the purpose of relaxing their viewers and helping them to fall asleep more easily. They have these special, light brain tingles. And it's helping them to fall asleep more easily, and it's helping them to reduce their stress. Even individuals who are diagnosed with anxiety and insomnia are reporting benefits from watching these ASMR videos and experiencing ASMR. Other institutions are also publishing data about ASMR and they're reporting similar health benefits. One study in particular, from the University of Sheffield in the United Kingdom, showed that when people watch ASMR videos, their heart rate significantly and effectively are reduced. They're called ASMR artists, and they have millions of followers. They may even be pretending to be a hairdresser or pretending to be a healthcare professional or just speaking softly the way a close friend would to you. The episode felt a little too familiar. Until recently, only a small fraction of the human population lived their lives publicly. And while we haven't entered the Black Mirror world yet, we've entered a new era. Everyone has access to a global audience. We all live in public. Some more willingly than others. There's pressure to share more of ourselves than we want. We often feel we have no other choice. To be relevant, to fit in, to get ahead, to be trusted and liked. Accepted and understood. New compulsion towards self-exposure is possibly the biggest social experiment in history. We're making life-altering decisions about our personal boundaries with no guidance and no precedent. Fortunately, there is a blueprint. Anyone who's lived in the public eye as an athlete, a politician or an entertainer has navigated a version of this. My family has been in the business of entertainment for 3 generations, contending with how to handle putting ourselves out there for the last 70 years. My mom, Cheryl, never wanted to be in the public eye. She just happened to love a man who is. Living in public asks us to be brave and bold, but preserving a private life empowers us to take those chances. So when my 15-year-old son started a YouTube channel and my 10-year-old daughter asked to join TikTok, I asked myself, what would Cheryl do? As much as I want to protect my kids, I know encouraging them to opt out is not the answer. So I don't want my kids in the digital fray until they know who they are. But you develop your sense of self by participating in the world. So I try to help them discover themselves through these technologies, not despite them. The dangers and opportunities of living a life in public existed, honestly, way longer before any of this. But it's important to know what my family knew then and knows now. That your true value is measured by the richness of your private life. The piece of you that only a select few, or perhaps only you, has access to. Because the legacy we create in private is as powerful and lasting as any public accolade. Perhaps even more so. We develop your sense of self by participating in the world. So I try to help them discover themselves through these technologies, not despite them. Many massively multiplayer online games, for example, can be seen as metaverses. And I've certainly also felt concerned, especially when people talk about the metaverse. That assumes that there's only one owner of the metaverse, and this owner would get far too much power and data. It also risks being exclusive. It might not be accessible for everyone, and will risk to introduce many of the inequities we see in the real world in the metaverse. This was pretty sad to me. So then you might wonder why am I here talking about the metaverse? That doesn't make sense. The vision of how they can provide a lot of delight to their communities and even make the real world a better place. And here we can learn a lot from We give the players tools in endless worlds and an infinite amount of building blocks to have fun and tinker with. And with these, the players can craft their own unique metaverses. The metaverses, therefore, belong to the players. They do not belong to us, making the game. And it's so fascinating, because the players are so very, very creative with the metaverses. Some use them to be big cities, castles, or like my 5-year-old daughter's recent project, an underwater playground for fishes. The possibilities are endless, and it's up to each player to set their own goals and decide if they want to create their own metaverse or join someone else's. World of Warcraft or EVE Online could be seen as metaverses. And this doesn't surprise me, because when we humans spend time together, we want to do it in a fun and joyful way. And this is true when we spend time together virtually too. Fun means different things for different individuals. Maybe not all of you want to build fish playgrounds, even though that clearly is very fun. But this is another reason to why there should be many different metaverses. My dream is that there will be a huge and diverse set of metaverses. Having millions of metaverses with different strengths and focuses enables everyone to find virtual places they love, feel welcome in, and just can have so much fun in.
I think imagination deserves to come back to the forefront of research and concern in psychology and philosophy, and I would say even in neuroscience. It fell out of the picture because of the rise of behaviorism. The mind sort of fell out of the picture because we thought, well, we can only study behaviors of animals and humans, and we can't know what's happening in the mind. So it disappeared. But then when the mind came back during the cognitive revolution, it came back on the model of a computer. So computational mind, of course, very popular and did great things. I mean, thinking of the mind that way has been productive.
Chemists there have developed a battery that runs on sugar, from soft drinks to tree sap. Living things have been using sugar for fuel for over 1 billion years. Now scientists have taken a tip from biology and engineered batteries that contain enzymes that convert sugar into electricity. The researchers used their battery, which was about the size of a postage stamp, to run a handheld calculator, and they powered the thing using sweetened drink mixes, tree sap, even plain old sugar water. Soda works too, but it has to be flat because carbonation doesn't help. In addition to providing juice for cell phones, MP3 players, and of course, calculators, sugar batteries could allow soldiers to charge their electronics on the battlefield, a possibility that interested the Defense Department enough to fund the studies. It's safe to say that most of us often feel crunched for time. So much so that we're experiencing what Ashley Whillans of the Harvard Business School, the lead author of the study, describes as a time famine. And like any famine, this chronic lack of time takes its toll on our health. Well, if time is money, Whillans and her team wondered whether money that's used to buy time could offer some relief, like paying someone else to clean the house, mow the lawn, or deliver the groceries. To find out, the researchers asked more than 6,000 people from the US, Canada, Denmark, and the Netherlands to rate their overall satisfaction with life, and to estimate how much money they lay out each month to outsource unenjoyable daily tasks or otherwise purchase some time off. And they found that respondents who willingly swap funds for free time also report feeling more content, regardless of their income or how many hours they work each week.
But snakebites are still a big concern for much of the world's population. The World Health Organization estimates that about 100,000 people die from poisonous snake bites each year, many more people become paralyzed or permanently disabled. And in poor rural areas of Asia, Africa, and South America, most deaths from snake bites go unreported. Most victims live too far from clinics that could provide them with antivenom. In Nepal, where more than 10% of bite victims die, an experimental program uses volunteer motorcyclists to save residents. Since the program launched in 2003, only about 0.5% of victims who got a ride died. Researchers are also hard at work developing better tests to detect whether victims have been bitten by a poisonous snake, and in some cases, even detect the species.
These crafty caterpillars trick ants into feeding them by mimicking the sound of their queen. Ants are social creatures whose colonies contain a queen ant and hordes of worker ants who feed the queen and take care of all her young. Blue butterfly caterpillars have come up with clever ways to exploit that system. These parasitic caterpillars take up residence in the nests of red ants, and they mooch free meals in part by waggling their heads to beg for food like all the other ant grubs. But that's not all. Scientists using sophisticated recording equipment were able to listen to the caterpillars chatter, and found that the interlopers imitated the sounds of an adult queen.
Hi everybody. This weekend we'll dedicate the newest American icon on our national mall, the National Museum of African American History and Culture. It's a beautiful building, 5 stories high and some 70 feet below the ground, situated just across the street from the Washington Monument. And this museum tells a story of America that hasn't always taken a front seat in our national narrative. As a people, we've rightfully passed on the tales of the giants who built this country, but too often, willful or not, we've chosen to gloss over or ignore entirely the experience of millions upon millions of others. But this museum chooses to tell a fuller story. It doesn't gauze up some bygone era or avoid uncomfortable truths. Rather, it embraces the patriotic recognition that America is a constant work in progress, that each successive generation can look upon our imperfections and decide that it is within our collective power to align this nation with the high ideals of our founding.
For centuries, astronomers have watched the storm spin across the giant world's face. But for planetary scientists, Jupiter's most distinctive mystery may be what's called the energy crisis of its upper atmosphere. How do temperatures average about as warm as Earth's, even though the enormous planet is more than 5 times further away from the Sun? All the Sun's giant planets display this energy crisis, and those in chilly orbits around other stars probably have it too.
The Earth is a hotter place, and it's caused by the buildup of greenhouse gases like carbon monoxide and methane. Like the glass on a greenhouse, these gases let in the sun's heat, but they stop it from getting out, so the surface of the Earth slowly becomes warmer. These gases have always existed naturally in the Earth's atmosphere, but now we're burning more and more fossil fuels. We're using more oil and coal, and wood too, as we cut down more trees. The Philippines' financial position is described as depressing. That's a very big cause of concern. The value of their currency, the peso, has hit an all-time low against the American dollar, one of the world's strongest currencies. It means the peso has never been worth so little. On the markets, it's hit an all-time low. And it's not just the currency. Serious concern about the country's financial and political future means its credit rating has been downgraded or reduced. That sends a signal to the financial community that the Philippines is an unsafe place to do business. You could lose your money if you invest, if you put your money into stocks and shares there.
One manifestation of globalization is the spread of similar products around the world. These include well-known brands such as Coca-Cola and Nike, and with a slogan, "One World, One Taste," the American fast food chain McDonald's. There are 30,000 restaurants in more than 120 countries, and McDonald's has become a symbol of the American way of life. But it seems that food tastes in the United States may be beginning to change. Research shows that people are eating fewer burgers and hot dogs and trying to eat healthier food. Safe water can become contaminated as a result of poor sanitation or the chemical fertilizers used in agriculture. So how is it possible to ensure that people everywhere have access to the water they need? Well, one answer is to build dams. But of course, dams don't provide a straightforward solution. They may supply energy and fresh water to those who live nearby, but there's often a price to pay. In some cases, millions of people are forced to leave their homes before the area is flooded. In other cases, the people who live downstream may suddenly find themselves without the water they once enjoyed. When we bear in mind factors like these, we begin to understand how water issues can lead to political disagreement and other tensions.